What's up, everybody? The second part of the video, I'm just enjoying my cup of coffee, and coffee is good for the soul. So, to keep talking about modernity or modernism talk, there's this idea right now about how we've gone from modernity or modernism to postmodernism to now meta modernism. And these three, they could be simplified basically by saying, okay, modernism is all this idea about change, about industrial revolution, about technology, right? About values, about tradition, about doing, about benefiting, right, from technology and from the advances, and while keeping the tradition alive. And then postmodernism basically questions all that. Postmodernism says, what the hell is all that, right? What the hell is tradition? What the hell is technology? What it deconstructs everything, right? And it says, rationally, none of this makes sense. Traditions, values, technology, like, you know. And then meta modernism, what it basically does is it kind of reunites modernism and postmodernism, and it says, we can't forget about modernity, we can't forget about values and tradition, while keeping a very self-conscious, self-aware metacognition perspective, right? So this could be summarized a little bit like this: modernity is more emotional compared to postmodernism, which is all about being rational, about being logical. This doesn't make sense, right? And then meta modernity tries to find a balance between both. It tries to say, okay, yes, we're really rational. We know none of this shit makes sense, but we need meaning, right? We need it to make sense. How the fuck are we gonna make it make sense? So that's where the emotional side kind of comes in and says, you know what? This does have meaning, right? Let's give it a meaning. Let's love. And this kind of relates back to the power and love dynamic. You need to love, you need to feel emotion, right? You can't just be all cold and calculated and mental. So I guess where we are right now, a little bit of is this meta modernity, and it tries to find a balance between both. Um, this is kind of interesting because it kind of tells you like society is always advancing, it's always moving forward, we're always making progress with technology and all these type of ideas that are out there. um, but I think when we don't know where to go, we tend to go back. And this is a perfect example because we have modernity, which is the past, is the traditional sense of advance and progress, and then we have postmodernity, which is like a reaction to that, and it basically says, no, none of that is true, right? We're just rational, and none of it makes sense, and now we're scientific and blah blah. And then meta modernity says, uh, well, and then from postmodernity, you say, well, now I feel alone, right? Because I'm just this big mental, rational being who's rationalizing everything, who's saying that's wrong, that's not the way it is. How do you know criticism and sarcasm and irony? And then eventually, well, you say, well, I do need meaning, I do need love. So we tend to go back, and that synthesis between those two sides, those two poles, is what gives us meta modernity, which is basically a regression or going back to that way of being, right? Reintegration. And they say when two sides oppose each other, it's not so much, or when there are three steps, it's not so much that they're separated, it's actually that one builds off the other one, right? Postmodernity is a reaction to modernity, and then meta modernity is a combination of modernity and postmodernity, right? Where you're analyzing modernity, where you're analyzing yourself, you're self-conscious, but you're also giving it meaning, you're also being emotional, you're also loving, right? So this is a little bit about what I had to say about the modernisms, and I'll see you next video. Peace.